there, this is Penelope, and this is the first in the series of questions from the Trimester 2 2018 exam. Now, before we start looking at this, I suggest that when you do sit the exam, that you allow 10% of the time for checking your answers and for finishing off. And so that leaves you 162 minutes to do the exam. So 162 minutes to do the exam. So you've got 100 marks in 162 minutes. So that's 1 point. So 1 mark in 1.62 minutes. So if a question is worth 10 marks, as question 1 is, then max time is 16.2 minutes. So say 16 minutes for the whole question. Now, question 1 shouldn't take you that long, so you can kind of bank these minutes, if you like, for the other questions. But you need to be very, very aware of what's going on. Okay, question 1. So expand and simplify. So that's just going to be FOIL. And, well, p times 2p would be 2p squared plus outsides, which would be 3pq minus 2pq minus 3q squared. Tidy it up as a bit. What can we do? 2p squared, 3pq minus 2pq is pq minus 3q squared. That question, if it's worth 1 mark, mostly you don't get partial marks. Part B. A plus B equals 1. Give it a name. 3b minus 3a equals 5. Give it a name. Now, it's kind of back to front. If you rewrite number 2, let's just write it like that. If we put the a's underneath each other, then it's easier to see what you need to do. So I haven't done anything. What I'm going to do now, though, is multiply number 1 by 3. So 3a plus 3b equals 3. And against that, give it a name, against that I'm going to write number 2. And then I'm going to find 3 minus 2. So 3a minus 3a is no a's. 3b plus, sorry, I'm going to add them, is 6b equals 8. So b equals 4 over 3. Then we need to find a, so we can substitute into one or other, it doesn't matter. Let's say 1, so that a plus 4 over 3 equals 1. So a must be negative 1/3. Now make sure you check this, not in number 1, check it in number 2. So you've got negative 3 times negative 1/3 plus 3 times 4 over 3. And yep, that equals 5. So check. For that one, there was 1 mark for some suitable method, 1 mark for finding B, and 1 mark for finding A. Simplify. Now simplify, there's all those things that you can possibly do for simplifying. One of the biggest ones is brackets. So we put in simplify. So we've got 1, oops, I don't know what's doing there. 1 minus r squared over 1 plus r. You should recognize that the top line is 1 minus r squared. So that's the difference of 2 squares, so we can instantly factorize that. It's 1 plus r over 1 plus r. Cancel, cancel, and we're left with 1 minus r. Question D, remember it's just notation. It's not multiplication. G of negative 2 means you substitute negative 2 into G. And G tells us to square our input, so it's equal to, I should write it properly, G of negative 2 equals negative 2 squared, which is 4. Watch the sign. If you write it like that, you can't go wrong. Part 2. We need to find f of g of negative 2. Now we know what g of negative 2 is. That's 4. So that means put 4 in as your input into F. And F tells us to cube our input, so that becomes 4 cubed, which is 64. And the last question, a surd symbol is just a square root symbol, so that's a surd symbol. So we need to get rid of the root 2 on the bottom. If we multiply it by root 2, then we get 2. So that's fine. If we multiply top and bottom by root 2, then we get 7 root 2 over 2.